Red Star OS. This is North Korea's official operating system. The government made it, and if you're using a computer there, you have no other option. Look at the screenshot. It looks like a Mac. Same dock, same icons, same rounded windows. But that Apple-like interface is hiding a surveillance machine. Let me explain. You see, North Korea is a dictatorship. The government decides what people are allowed to watch, read, or listen to. And foreign movies, South Korean music, foreign books, all of that is illegal. And the way people get it anyway is through USB drives. Someone smuggles a drive across the border. It gets copied, passed around, and quietly makes its way through the country. The government knows this, so Red Star was built to break it. The moment you plug a USB drive into a Red Star computer, the system goes through every file on it and adds a hidden tag, a serial number basically, that says, "This file passed through this computer." You don't have to open anything, you don't have to click anything. Just plugging it in is enough. And it all happens in the background, so you never even know it happened. And this happens every time the USB drive is plugged into a new system. So if that same drive went through 5 computers before yours, it's now carrying 5 tags, 6 with yours. So let's say a banned movie gets found on someone's drive. The government doesn't just have that one guy. They open the file, read the tags, and now they have the entire chain. Every computer that movie ever touched, all the way back to whoever brought it in. And you can't turn it off. If you try, if you change anything in the core system files that Red Star needs to run, the OS just crashes. Then, when you reboot, everything you changed is gone, put back exactly how it was, and monitoring switched back on. 2 German researchers, Florian Grunow and Niklaus Schiess, pulled the whole thing apart and showed it off at a hacker conference back in 2015. And what they found was that none of this is a bug. This is what the OS is actually designed for. Oh, and before someone in the comments comes at me for forgetting this, yes, Red Star is a Linux distro. And for you dum-dums out there, Linux is free open-source software that anyone can take and build their own version of. Most operating systems are built to serve the person using them. Red Star OS is built to serve the state of North Korea. Lindows. Lindows wasn't a dangerous software or a security threat. It didn't steal anything. Microsoft just really hated the name, and for obvious reasons. The software itself was actually a nice idea. A company called Lindows built a version of Linux that could run Windows programs. So you could enjoy Linux, which is cheap and lightweight, but you wouldn't lose the apps you were already using, your Office, your games, whatever. It looked like a normal desktop, it worked like a normal desktop, and it was cheap. That was the pitch. And obviously, they named it Lindows because it sounds like Windows. That was the whole idea. So Microsoft sued them. But they didn't go after the software or the code. Only the name. Their entire argument was that Lindows sounded so close to Windows that a customer could walk into a store, pick up the wrong box, and not even realize it. And this is where it goes wrong for Microsoft. Because there's a rule about trademarks. If your brand name turns into the normal word for the thing, you lose it. That's why escalator, aspirin, and thermos aren't brands anymore. They used to be. People just started using them as regular words, and the companies lost the rights to them. So in court, the judge pointed out something Microsoft really did not want to hear. People were calling little tabs on a screen Windows long before Microsoft Windows existed. So maybe Windows was already just a normal word. And if a jury agreed with that, Microsoft wasn't just going to lose the case, they could lose the trademark itself on Windows, their biggest product. They weren't going to take that chance. So in 2004, Microsoft settled. And the settlement was that Microsoft paid Lindows $20 million and bought the name off them so nobody could ever use it again. Lindows took the money and renamed itself Linspire. Microsoft spent 2.5 years trying to kill a name, nearly lost its own trademark doing it, and in the end just bought the thing to make it go away. And honestly, I love it. It's nice watching a giant company throw its weight around and lose for once. Because usually they don't lose, right? Like right now, Sony just announced that from 2028, no new PlayStation game gets a disc. Digital only. There's a petition going around, people are pretty angry about it. I am angry about it. A disc is yours. A download is yours until Sony decides to close the store. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Back to the operating systems. Gaming Edition Windows. Alright, this one's different. Nobody's arguing over a name here, and no government made this. This one's just people trying to rob you. You've seen these. Go on a torrent site and you'll find Windows 10 Gaming Edition, debloated, light, whatever. And the pitch is always the same. It's Windows, but they've ripped out all the junk. No Cortana, no tracking, no background nonsense eating your RAM. Just clean, fast Windows. And it's free. For a lot of people, that's a very tempting download, especially if you're on an old machine and you're trying to squeeze a few more frames out of it. And the OS usually works. That's the thing. You install it, it boots, it plays your games. Nothing looks wrong. But in 2023, a security company called Dr. Web pulled apart a batch of these builds and found multiple things buried in them. The first one is called a clipper, and what it does is watch your clipboard. That's it. It just sits there and watches everything you copy. And the second you copy a crypto wallet address, because you're sending someone money or moving your own coins around, it swaps it. In the fraction of a second between you hitting copy and you hitting paste, that address quietly becomes the attacker's address instead. And you don't notice. Because a wallet address is 30 characters of random junk. Nobody reads the whole thing. You glance at the first 4 letters, the last 4 letters, looks right, hit send, money's gone. And crypto doesn't have a refund button, so it's just gone. That group made about $19,000 before anyone caught it. And here's the clever part. They didn't hide it in Windows. They hid it in the EFI partition. That's a small chunk of your drive that runs before Windows even starts. It's the part that boots your machine. Antivirus doesn't usually look there, so you can scan your PC, get a clean result, and still be infected. Cracked games do it too. There's one called Krakenosh, bundled with pirated GTA 5, Far Cry 5, The Sims 4. The first thing it does is reboot you into safe mode, because antivirus doesn't run in safe mode. Then it deletes your antivirus, turns off Windows updates, and starts mining crypto on your GPU. It hit over 200,000 machines and made about $2 million. So if your frame rate's terrible in the free game you just downloaded, that's why. TempleOS. TempleOS isn't illegal, it isn't malware, it isn't dangerous. It's in this video because it's the most incredible one-man project in the history of software, and also one of the saddest. One guy did all of this. Terry A. Davis, a genuinely gifted programmer with a master's in electrical engineering. And over roughly a decade, entirely alone, he built a complete working 64-bit operating system from scratch. No team, no help, nothing. It's like one guy building a skyscraper by hand. And I know that sounds like an exaggeration, so let me explain what he actually made. He wrote the kernel, that's the core of the OS, the thing that talks to your hardware. He wrote the compiler, which is the tool that turns code into something a computer can actually run. He wrote the graphics, the file system, a debugger, a music editor, games, and a working 3D flight simulator. Over 100,000 lines of code, every single one of them written by him, alone. Now, normally, nobody does this. Even the biggest names didn't. Linux had Linus Torvalds, but he had thousands of people helping him. Windows had a company behind it. Terry had a desk. He even invented his own programming language to do it, called Holy C, and its compiler is so tight it can process 50,000 lines of code in under a second. If you don't code, here's what that means. He built his own language and he made it fast. That's the part that other programmers look at and just go quiet with respect. And here's the twist that makes it unforgettable. Terry had severe schizophrenia. He believed God personally instructed him to build this as the biblical third temple. And God, apparently, was very specific about how. The screen had to be 640 by 480. Only 16 colors, nothing more. It could only play one sound at a time, and it could never, ever go online. To him, those weren't limits, those were divine commandments. He live-streamed for years, brilliant demos mixed with painful episodes, and he became a cult legend for it. He passed away in 2018. TempleOS now sits in university courses and in an actual art museum. Because it isn't just an OS, it's what happens when a mind like that builds a temple out of code.
Astra Linux. Astra Linux is what happens when an entire military decides it can't trust Windows anymore. And thanks to sanctions, it's an OS that most of the world literally isn't allowed to touch. Here's how it started. Russia's Ministry of Defense looked at Windows, closed source, American-made, and got paranoid that the American government had a secret back door buried somewhere in the code. And you can kind of see the worry. Windows is closed source, which means only Microsoft can see what's actually inside it. You're just trusting them. And when you're running a nuclear-armed military, just trust them doesn't really cut it. So in 2018, they made the call. Wipe Windows off every military machine and replace it with their own OS.
That OS is Astra Linux. And it's not some sketchy hack job. It's a genuinely serious system, built on top of Debian. That's a popular free version of Linux that anyone can build on, and it's certified by Russia's FSB, which is basically their version of the CIA, and their Ministry of Defense, to handle information all the way up to top secret. It comes in different security levels named after Russian cities, like Oryol and Smolensk. It's locked down so that data can't just move on or off the machine without permission. It can even run on Russia's own homegrown processors, called Elbrus. So in theory, there's no Western hardware anywhere in the chain. And it's not just the military. It now runs in banks, schools, and even nuclear facility systems. So why is it basically forbidden fruit? Sanctions. After Russia invaded Ukraine, Microsoft and a lot of Western companies pulled out, and Windows support in Russia mostly dried up. So we'd like our own OS turned into, we don't have a choice.
Whonix. Whonix is built for people who need to disappear online completely, and its whole trick is one genuinely clever idea. Now, you've probably heard of Tor. It's the tool that hides your identity by taking your internet traffic and bouncing it through 3 random computers around the world before it reaches any website. So the site you land on never sees where you actually are. Whonix uses Tor, but Tor on its own has a weak spot, and Whonix is built to cover it. Here's the weak spot. If a piece of malware gets onto your computer, it doesn't care about Tor. It can just look up your real location directly off your machine and send it to whoever planted it. Game over. Tor is protecting your traffic, but the malware went around it. So here's what Whonix does. It splits your computer into 2 completely separate machines running side by side. The first one, the gateway, does one thing and nothing else: run Tor. The second one, the workstation, is where you actually sit and browse and work. And the workstation has no way to reach the internet on its own. None. The only path it has is through the gateway. And this is the clever bit. The workstation is the part where you'd actually catch malware, because that's where you're opening things. But the workstation was never told your real location in the first place. It doesn't know it. So even if it gets completely infected, the malware has nothing to steal and nowhere to send it. There's no road out. The one machine that does know who you are, the gateway, is sealed off doing nothing but Tor, so there's nothing on it to hack. That's the thing that makes Whonix special. It's not that it hides you. Plenty of tools hide you. It's that it keeps hiding you even after you've already been broken into. And that protection is wired into how the whole system is built, not a setting you have to switch on. That same protection is why the people who really can't afford to get caught use it. Journalists protecting sources whose lives are on the line. Activists under governments that would jail them for what they post. Edward Snowden, the most famous whistleblower alive, has specifically pointed to Whonix as one of the tools he'd trust.
NeoKylin. NeoKylin is China's answer to a very specific nightmare. What happens when the operating system your entire government runs on suddenly gets abandoned? Rewind to 2014. Microsoft kills off Windows XP. No more updates, no more security patches. The problem is, China was hooked on XP. Government offices, state agencies, military systems, and huge chunks of the country's most critical infrastructure still ran it. Overnight, all of them became sitting ducks. And China was already uneasy about relying on American software in the first place, worried that Windows could contain backdoors US intelligence might exploit. So they built their own. But here's the clever, almost sneaky part. Instead of designing something new and forcing millions of workers to relearn everything, they made NeoKylin look exactly like Windows XP. And I mean exactly. Same start button, same taskbar, same My Computer, same recycle bin, same control panel, right down to Office apps that mirror Microsoft Office. Underneath the costume, though, it's not Windows at all. It's Linux, believed to be based on Fedora, dressed up so convincingly that lifelong Windows users wouldn't even notice they'd switched. And this wasn't some pet project that fizzled out. It shipped for real. The entire city of Siping deployed it across government PCs, and at its peak, Dell was preloading NeoKylin on more than 40% of the commercial computers it sold in China. Here's the thing though. By any normal definition, this isn't illegal. It's not malware, and it's not a crime. It's a national technology strategy. And China is far from alone. Plenty of countries are now building their own operating systems for the exact same reason. Nobody wants to be permanently dependent on software controlled by decision makers in another country. The only real trade-off is the cost and slower updates.
Parrot OS. Here's an operating system that sounds like a cybercriminal's dream weapon, yet it's completely, boringly legal. Parrot OS is a Linux distro that comes preloaded with over 600 hacking tools right out of the box. And these aren't toys. Just look at what comes pre-installed. Metasploit to break into systems, Wireshark to spy on everything moving across a network, AirCrackNG to crack Wi-Fi passwords, Hydra to brute force logins by trying millions of combinations. It even ships with a tool called AnonSurf that routes your entire system's traffic through Tor, so every move you make online gets bounced around the world and hidden. Basically everything you'd need to attack a network sitting in a free download. So why isn't this illegal? Because Parrot was built for the good guys, specifically penetration testers. These are professionals that companies literally pay to break into their systems, legally with a signed contract, to find security holes before real criminals do. Think of a locksmith who's hired to pick your locks and tell you which ones are weak. Parrot is their toolbox. And here's the key idea. The toolbox itself is neutral. That same lockpick set works for the locksmith you hired and the burglar breaking into your house. The tools don't care. What makes it a crime isn't owning Parrot OS, it's where you point it. Break into a system you own or were hired to test? Totally legal. Break into one you weren't? That's a felony.